we got to talk about another special election. And yes, I got to tell you right off the jump, it was damn good. It was good. Let's jump right on into it, shall we? Let's take a little trip back down memory lane before we hop into it, though.
We want to get to some more breaking news. Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia announcing on social media that she will resign from Congress early next year after a weeks-long falling out with President Trump and much of her party. Now, Greene laid out her reasoning. She said, in part, I have too much self-respect and dignity, love my family way too much. Also, just checking on social media, she did post an announcement just coming in right now. I can put this up, and you can see right there on our screen there. She actually making that announcement. Her message to Georgia's 14th District and America. And she also had her official statement posted online, too. She says, I've always represented the common American man and woman as a member of the House of Representatives, which is why I've always been despised in Washington, D.C. and never fit in.
Yeah. So Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned from the 14th District in Georgia. Said she was quitting, packing up her bags and leaving, taking her ball, and she was going home. And so, of course, naturally, you got to replace her. And so there was a special election. In the first election, nobody got 50%. So then it led to a runoff between Clayton Fuller and Shawn... what was the other guy's name? Shawn Harris. Okay. Clayton Fuller, the Republican, and Shawn Harris, the Democrat. And so yeah, and that runoff election was yesterday. Okay. Now I want to get into this clip from NBC on, some of the voters and how they felt about that election. Check it out.
President Trump was able to win this district back in 2024 by more than 30 points, more than 35 points, as a matter of fact. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who used to hold the congressional seat for this district, also beat the Democratic contender back then in 2024 by 29 points. And now that Democrat is running again for this seat, Shawn Harris, the retired Army Brigadier General, and he has, along with Clay Fuller, the Republican candidate, both of them together have really motivated voters to get out and vote. The ones that we've spoken to today have really stood by their convictions, their concerns about the cost of living right now that are going up again, many of them say, but they're also holding to their convictions about who they believe can address the issues that are of importance to them. I want you to hear from a couple of voters that we've spoken to at this precinct today, which has been pretty busy. Here's what they had to say.
I'm not that familiar with him and his politics. I mean, I'm just not. I know that Trump supports him and that he's the Republican. So that's the way we voted this time.
You always vote Republican. Was there anything in this race that made you think twice?
No. Trump endorsed him. That's good enough for me.
I voted for Shawn Harris, and what brought me to the polls was I'd been unhappy with Marjorie Taylor Greene and kind of her outspokenness, and so I wanted somebody who was more focused on the issues for Rome.
And
which, as you saw there in that clip, it is very, 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 very important that, Trump gets out early and endorses, individuals, because a lot of people, and I don't blame them, right? A lot of people don't know much about what's going on in politics. We all have lives. We all got bills to pay, and family to see and events to go to and things to take care of. And so a lot of people aren't in the know. All they know is, okay, this is Trump's guy. Okay, cool. I'm rocking with him, And it goes to, and it proves why Trump's endorsement is super, super important, and why his endorsement has a really strong track record. I mean, you just witnessed it there. A couple of those ladies literally only voted for Clayton because Trump endorsed him. And so, yeah, you'll see that from time to time. And of course, you'll hear Democrats say the uneducated voters. I mean, sure, they might be a little uneducated on, some of the details right, as far as who these individuals are, but they know what they stand for, okay? And at the end of the day, we all got lives. Not everybody can pay attention to every single, candidate in an election, especially in an off year, in a special election when it's not expected, right? Stuff's going on. So yeah, I think it's super important, especially, for people like myself and others to help with that, to help bridge that gap as well, as far as education goes on who these individuals are. And as a matter of fact, I keep forgetting. I have to remember to check the dates on some of these primary races that are coming up as well, because I want to touch on some of the candidates and let you guys know who I think is the America First, because of course you still got some RINOs that are trying to weasel their way back in, right? Trying to get back into the party. And so I think it's important that we take a deep dive on some of these candidates as well. So I'm going to have to try to remember to do that. Anyway, now let's hop into how the race actually went, because it's quite interesting. Check it out.
Fuller's victory strengthens Republicans' hold in a narrowly divided House where every seat is critical. Let's bring in Steve Kornacki. He is at the big board to walk us through the results here. Steve, what do we see?
Yeah, Gotti, I guess on the surface here, no surprise. Ultimately, Clay Fuller, the Republican, you can see is leading right now, about a 12-point margin. And as you can also see, there are still a lot of votes that are still going to be counted here. It appears that Fuller margin, is ticking up some the more vote that comes in right here. The context for this, though, of course, as you say, this was Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat. This is a very solidly Republican district. Traditionally, Donald Trump won this district in 2024 by 37 points. And so we don't know where the margin is ultimately going to land here, but it is clear that margin is going to be short, I think well short of that 37-point margin that Trump had here a couple of years ago. So ultimately what you're going to have here is a Republican, Clay Fuller, winning the seat, Republicans holding on to the seat. They're going to be happy with that. And Democrats are probably going to emerge from tonight saying, hey, this was a very deep Republican district. We Democrats did better than expected. And they will say it's not the first time since Trump came back to the White House that that's been the case. In previous special elections to Congress over the last year and a half since Trump came back, we've seen similar results where the Democrats are doing much better than they did in 2024. And so Democrats will try to claim momentum coming out of this tonight. Republicans will be able to say, hey, your momentum wasn't enough to get you the seat. The Republicans will say ultimately what matters is winning the seat, and they have done that.
And that is the big picture. Steve Kornacki at the big board.
Yeah, so I think the margin, let me see. So currently, okay, so this was 17 hours ago with less than 50%. I think the current margin sits at like 11%. That Clayton is ahead by with like 97% of the votes in. Excuse me. And so, yeah, would you like a better spread there? Yeah, of course. You always want to see a blowout in our favor. But you also have to take into account we're the party in power. Okay? So, enthusiasm just naturally is down, just based upon, precedents, right? This always happens, which is why, the party in power typically loses the midterms. It's only not happened, I believe, 3 times over the past 100 years. If I remember correctly, if I remember that statistic correctly, that the party in power didn't lose a majority, right? So the deck is kind of stacked against us, but it's not looking terrible. And I know y'all are like, Rich, Trump won that by 37. We're only up by 11. That's a 26-point swing. Yeah, it is. And that sounds terrible. 26 points? If everything swung 26 points to the left, oh yeah, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. We're fucked, okay? If everything swung 26 points in this country, if every single election across the board in these midterms swings 26 points, we're cooked. It's over with. The proverbial fat lady, she's been singing, right? Which I don't even know where that saying even came from. The fat lady singing. Anyway. Yeah, but she's been singing. Okay? But do I think that's going to happen? No. This was a special election that clearly a lot of people didn't know about. Okay? Trump didn't even endorse or post about it until later yesterday, right? Or until it was yesterday. Yeah, I believe it was yesterday that Trump even posted about it, right? Letting people know. I didn't even know this election was going on until later yesterday, much later, like basically when the polls closed. So I don't put too much weight into an election like this. It's noteworthy. It's something to stash in the in the bin, in the folder, right? Push it to the back, maybe for future reference. But am I putting a whole lot of weight on this? No, for the reasons that I just explained. And at the end of the day, we got the W, and that's what matters. And so, we kept that seat Republican, which is a beautiful thing. It's great to see. But also, listen, guys, we got to show up in the midterms. We have to show up. And if you got any friends or family that are thinking about sitting out, encourage them to show up. Because one thing that really annoys me, and here's another reason why I couldn't be a Republican politician, is when people say, well, because Republicans aren't doing what we want, because we got John Thune as our leader, I'm just going to sit out. And it's like, no, that should be the reason why you get more involved, right? That should be the reason why you push the pedal all the way down so you can Liz Cheney John Thune in South Dakota. You can embarrass him and send a message to people like that. Do you think John Thune cares about being the Senate Majority Leader? No. He cares about being in the Senate. He cares about keeping his nice office in D.C. He doesn't care about being the Majority Leader, though. Doesn't matter if he's the majority or the minority. He doesn't care. I can guarantee you he doesn't care. So you sitting at home, if anything, he's laughing at you. Like, y'all lost, right? Y'all sat at home and y'all could have voted out John Cornyn, but because y'all sat at home, John Cornyn won. Y'all sat at home, so y'all could have replaced Mitch McConnell with somebody that was America first, but y'all decided to sit at home, and so now I got another rhino that's added back to the establishment that's coming back to DC. Y'all could have replaced Lindsey Graham, right, with somebody who's America first, but you chose not to show up for that primary, and so Lindsey Graham is coming back. So now I got all my rhinos back. Y'all could have replaced 3 of them easily. Could have got them up out of there, coach. But y'all chose to sit at home. You know, if I'm John Thune, that's what I'm thinking. Like, thanks. Right? Thank you. So, yeah. The fact that they are pushing back against us, the rhinos in the party, should make us show up even more. En masse. And Liz Cheney, every single one of them. And when I say Liz Cheney, I mean vote them out in such numbers that it's utterly embarrassing how badly they lose in their primaries. That's just my take on it. Y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.